What's good, everyone? I'm IAnthonyD. Welcome back to the channel. It's good to see your beautiful faces as always, man. There's just so much news lately. Promise we're gonna have some gameplays on the channel again very soon, but man, there's just so much to talk about in this whole horror asymmetrical world. Gun, Halloween, Friday the 13th remaster, just so much going on. But that's probably a good thing. It gives us something to talk about to the next big game. So with that said, there was recently a podcast that Wes Kelner was a guest on. This was a business investment type podcast where he talks about his journey and what led him to being the CEO of Gun Interactive. But in that, he dropped some juicy things, so we're gonna go over that. Wes Kelner, CEO of Gun Interactive, has finally broken his silence regarding the end of content for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Game turned out to be a massive success as well.
It was, yeah. It launched August of 23, and we were selected to be in Game Pass, which we were excited to be in. They took care of us financially, before the game even came out, and that was great for all my investors. We did a similar model, so they were very thrilled to be where they were before the game even came out. And then that Xbox through Game Pass put a lot of bodies in the server for us, so to speak. We had a lot of players turnkey from day one, and we shot up pretty quickly past 3 million people playing the game into 4 million. And continued to grow since then. We've also took place in the PlayStation Plus promotion, which was a similar thing to Game Pass, and that put another large amount of players into the ecosphere of Texas Chainsaw. And we spent a year putting as much content as we could into the game because we only had the rights to the first movie, and so there's sort of a limitation to how far you can go creatively with that before it also starts to feel like you're doing the same thing.
Yep.
So we wanted to keep everyone in there feeling unique and different and interesting. So we took that out as far as we could, and then we said, okay, creatively, this is the vision we have for this game, and now we're moving on to the next adventure.
Honestly, I always felt it was kind of strange how quiet Wes was about all of this. In fact, the entire radio silence from Gun felt strange, which I assume was largely due to the backlash of the community. Still, it was interesting to finally hear Wes speak up. Honestly, I do have to say, seeing him sit down like this and talking about this kind of stuff, it was actually kind of cool to see. And I think that's what people like the most about Gun, is pulling down that curtain and showing that human side, being personable with the community. But with that said, he doubles down on what they've been saying about TCM, and I still don't fully agree with it. However, they clearly doubled down on the idea that the game has reached the end of its creative journey. And I spent a good chunk of today trying to come up with a realistic reason of why they would go with this answer. Given all of the leaked content, it's hard to believe that this creative well just suddenly dried up. Obviously, Wes is just trying to avoid throwing any shade at Black Tower. Let's just imagine for a second that when TCM's content ended, TCM was in a really good place and the creative journey has run its course. Could it be that they always had a hard deadline in place? Maybe it's tied to their upcoming game. Maybe they didn't want to commit to supporting 2 live service games at the same time. Whatever the case may be, transparency from the start was a must. I just struggle a little bit with the timing. The ending of content with TCM, we get hit with the stay tuned. Now this interview's coming out, and they're already talking about the announcement of this next game. But honestly, I was a little bit surprised with how much Wes talked about their next project.
Before we let you go, any hints around what's coming next for you guys? Anything that you're willing to share?
Yeah, we'll be announcing, really soon, the next few months, kind of what the next project's going to be. But it's something that I hold near and dear to my heart. It's one of my sort of bucket list things to work on, and I can't really give you a whole lot more than that, but I think fans are going to love what we're doing. Now
that's where things start to get interesting, calling the next game a bucket list project. With it being on his bucket list, it likely puts to rest the rumors of a F13 remaster or sequel. Why would something they already done before be considered a bucket list item? However, I will say I still do believe that a F13 game, whether it be a remaster or a part 2, is still being worked on. I just think as we get more information, the likelihood of it being Gun behind the project seems less likely. On the other hand, this does add some weight that the next game could be Halloween. It's one of horror's biggest IPs, and we know that Wes has a deep love for the genre. Now, we know that Rush Week, for example, was a passion project inspired by Black Christmas and Giallo films, something that Wes has been very vocal about. But outside of Halloween, I'm not sure what else fits the bucket list description, which all of that is super interesting, but I did not think we were going to be talking about announcing a game so soon. Wes hits us with the fact that their next game will be announced in the next few months. We do have October just around the corner. The timing seems perfect, especially if it's a Halloween game. There's also Scarefest going on in October, a horror convention Gunn regularly attends and could use as a platform for their reveal. And then of course we do have the Game Awards in December, but all of this raises more questions. What about the mocap session we know happened with Kane Hodder and Scout Taylor Compton? Are those tied to this new project? I don't know, it seems a little odd to be doing mocaps so soon to an announcement. Is it possible that there are actually two different games in development and we're just caught in the middle of both? What Wes is talking about here in this podcast, the game that's going to be announced in a few months, is that completely different than the game that Kane Hodder talked about in his podcast, where he said that Gunn and Ilphonic are teaming up and that he's involved in the mocap for it? I don't know. It's cool to be excited about these different little things that are going on. Obviously, when you throw in the whole TCM and that bad taste, things start to get a little weird. It's a weird feeling to have. I wish we could just be hyped like we were when we first found out about TCM. But as always, I want to know what you think. So comment down below, let's talk about it. If you enjoy these types of videos, make sure to slash that like button, subscribe with notifications set to all, and consider becoming a member to support the channel directly. But most importantly, remember the rules to survive. Don't do drugs, don't have sex, and oh yeah, don't die.
You gotta have a suit. Everybody dies. Everybody dies. These days, there are certain rules. Everybody dies. Everybody dies. You gotta have a suit.
You can never have sex.
Everybody dies. Everybody dies. These days,
You can never drink or do drugs.